Hello, everyone. So, I spent some time outside again today, listening very deeply. And for 3 hours, life was completely silent. It was just perfect stillness and silence inside. Nothing was talking to me. There was no learning happening. It was just utter silence. And a funny thing happened. I had a slight inclination that I should apologize. And then the moment, it wasn't necessarily an apology, it was more just a drawing a line. Life wanted me to know not to go too far. Because my last, or a couple of videos, I went after the science community and this and that. What I said was true. But it feels like life has asked me to back off just a little bit. So I'm going to do that. And the very moment, I had that recognition with life, it began to speak to me again. So I'm just sharing this with you because it's really interesting when you listen with perfect stillness how life interacts with you. And I'm just sharing this again because maybe it's useful to somebody. I think it's useful to everybody if they understand what I'm saying. If you live life in complete humility, it's so easy to move forward. If you just listen and pay attention to your composure, your behavior, the things you say. Because, let's be real. All of us probably have gone a little too far in something in life. Right? Is there any of us that are not guilty of maybe going a little too far in things we've said to somebody and something we've done in life? And if we just be completely humble and recognize our errors, especially if it's to somebody else directly in our life, and just say, just take ownership. There's a friend of Joe Rogan's who I really like. Let me remember his name. He's that SEAL guy. Some of you probably know him. He's got a YouTube channel and I think a podcast. What's his name? Jocko? I think that's his name, Jocko. I want to say he wrote a book about this. I think he did. And it was called, I believe, I should probably just Google this before I say it, but I think it's called Extreme Ownership. Is that right? Let me Google it real quick. Yes, that's it. Extreme Ownership. How U.S. Navy SEALs lead and win. Okay, so I'm going to speak about it in a slightly different manner. But the principle is entirely correct when applied to life. Extreme ownership is what all of us have to do with our behaviors, our emotions, our words, our thoughts. Everything, our entire conduct to life should be extreme ownership. Because that should send you right back to the place of absolute humility. If you use it properly, if you think about it properly, extreme ownership. And so I shared this moment because it was the moment I took ownership, and I listened. This is what life said. And I made a course correction in my being. And the moment I did, life started talking to me again. Now, I'm just saying it like that, right? But that's what it is. When you're sitting in absolute silence and just listening, you will hear the voice in you begin to speak. And it will tell you how to lead a life in the light when you listen properly. When you've done enough house cleaning and you no longer have a voice, because everybody has a voice. Let's just be honest. But what voice are people listening to? People that have no idea, that are not on the path of light, are not even remotely awakened, are also listening to a voice all the time. And this voice is yabbering about a life of greed, a life of getting ahead, of this and that and the other thing. What people are saying about you, what's happening at work, what's the gossip at work. That is the wrong voice, people. Let's just be, that is the wrong voice. But you want, when you do enough house cleaning and you move deep into the silence, you will hear a different voice. When you dedicate your life to the light, you will hear a different voice. And sometimes that voice is your own God self teaching you. And sometimes it's others. And you will feel the difference. You will feel and see a picture and a name connected. It's just how life works. So I'm sharing this moment with you so maybe it will cause a moment of reflection for others in their life. That's just to think about. Make those course corrections. Be fearless in making course corrections. Make course corrections like your life depends on it. Because it does, in a sense. Your progress in life depends on it. So this wasn't actually what I was really going to talk about. It's just kind of flowing out. What I was going to talk about was how important it is to make sure you take time off for the silence. Because there is only, let's say this. There should be tiers. There are tiers of importance in life. Okay? And family's definitely high up there, is it not? We all recognize that family is very close to the top of the list. All right? But it has to be done in the proper context. In an ideal scenario, neither husband or wife is dependent upon one another. In an ideal scenario, let's just say both individuals are awakened and there's zero dependency on the other. They each have full recognition of who they are and what they're supposed to be doing in life. And their choice of cohabitation and maybe raising some children should be done in a manner where no matter if one is present, or I'll say this, if the other is not present, it doesn't matter. That there's no leaning on one another. You only lean on God. That each in themselves is 100% present piece of the family. So let's just say whatever would happen in life. Maybe it's just normal. Maybe it's just every day where only one of them is present. That you never depend upon the other one. I mean, that's the ideal scenario, that there's full Christ recognition in each party. You know, but we know this is not the case. We know that this is, for the most part, not how families operate, because they still are asleep. But that's okay. But it will get back to this eventually. I'm just saying, family is up there, right? So family is up there. And our job is up there. Or I shouldn't say job. If everything, again, was in a perfect scenario, whatever you're doing is a service to life. And when you awaken, life will give you a service to render. It will no longer be a job. When it's treated correctly and you appreciate what life brings to you, you will be receiving a service to life. And it should be treated with a lot of respect, whatever it is. Do your most. Do your best to serve life in their full present capacity. And observe the golden rule and all those things. Treat others exactly how you like to be treated, or better. Let's say better. Let's go beyond. Treat others better than you would even expect to be treated. And see what life does for you. When you operate with those principles, when you take extreme ownership of all your behavior and you treat others better than you would expect to be treated, and you just watch what life will do for you, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. So let's get back on track here. So I was going to make a point about how important it is to take time out at least once a week. At least. It'd be better if it was every day. Every day where you did nothing. Okay? Absolutely nothing. That's the best scenario. Every single day that you spend time in the silence, in the stillness, and you do nothing. You let nobody talk to you. You do not think about your job or your service to life. You do not think about your family. You think only about God. And you do this, if you do this every single day, where you take out, let's say 3 hours. Is that utterly ridiculous for people to even contemplate 3 hours? Every single day. If you want to do that, ask life for its help, and it will help restructure your life to make that happen. Well, all right, so let's not go that far. I'm going to honestly admit that's my privilege. It's something I've learned to enjoy doing. It's a privilege in my career that I have right now where I can do that for 3 to 5 hours every single day. And I will admit, most people will not have that privilege just yet. But again, I'm sharing this because if you want to do that, you have to ask life. But let's just be more reasonable. Let's say 1 day a week, or even 3/4 of a day, or baby steps, half a day, where you blocked out time to do nothing but sit in the silence. Because only in the silence can you learn and be taught? You can be taught everything. There's no limits. The only limitation is your willingness and your capability of listening, which I've spoken in the previous video, is an absolute art form of learning how to listen and tuning yourself. So as far as the rankings, the reason why I'm saying this is that this needs to be number one for anybody who's serious about making progress in their life. Because above all else is your duty to yourself. It's not a selfish thing. Life expects this. Because you can only give back to life what you develop, what you earn the right to express. And it takes work, it takes dedication, it takes time, it takes devotion to cultivate that. It's not going to be handed to you. You have to earn every step of it. Extreme ownership is what is required. So that's what I wanted to share today, was about how important it is to rank free time to be in the silence. It is where you can learn everything about life. How to be a greater child of God. And in the process of doing that, you are becoming a greater participant in your family. You can render greater service or greater service in your service. Your job, everything you do, you're rendering a greater service through your service. And every bit of progress you make is going to touch life. And then life in turn reciprocates that. And very quickly, you're going to find yourself in a loop of tremendous goodness. That's a very pleasant loop to find yourself in. But you have to earn that. You have to learn how to give back to life and listen and be taught. So, I just encourage everybody to make time. Baby steps, whatever you can do, start with that. But make time. Because that's literally the only reason you are existing, is to discover your potential, is it not? That is your only reason of existence. Everything else you do is a choice. What I'm talking about here is your purpose. So you always have to put your purpose at the top. It is not selfishness. It's why you were created, why you made the choice to accept the responsibility of free will and come into embodiment. You made the choice. Not all of life makes that choice. The beings of nature, angels, and other servants in life do not make the choice of free will. But you did. It is the highest responsibility and greatest service there is to life. So even though you're in embodiment and you're just like this little embryo of understanding right now, You are literally the highest potential of creation. All life will bow down to you as you earn the right to accept your inheritance. You remember who you are. That we're not seeking life to bow down to us. I'm not speaking of that in that manner. I'm just saying all creation respects and bows down to those who have made the decision to be responsible agents of free will. This is your purpose, and it requires dedication and devotion to learn from life how to implement it. And the fact that so few in life make this time to do this is a reason why we have a society in the condition it is. So this is your highest, it's the highest necessity that in any part of life, I mean, in your expression of life, it is of the utmost necessity, because it is how you will give back the love and gratitude that will lift every bit of life around you. It will lift your community. It will lift your state. It will lift your country just by being. So everything else is a choice, but this is your purpose. And I speak of this just so everyone can think about how to put their life in proper order. If you want to make progress, serious progress in life, in this embodiment, and receive all kinds of blessings for yourself and your family and everything you touch in life. All right. I think I'll stop there for now. So maybe something else will come up, but thank you, beloved ones.